Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another session on polity and constitution. I hope I'm audible as well as visible. Great, audible and visible. Let us wait for those to join, and then we'll begin our discussion for the day. Okay, so let's begin now. Others can keep on joining. In the meantime, let's do a quick recap of what we studied in the previous class. So on Friday, we had taken up for discussion the chapter Parliament, right? And of course, when it comes to the Parliament, the two houses, Lok Sabha or the House of People, Rajya Sabha or the Council of States, the election procedure, first past the post, proportional representation, how are the members elected directly, indirectly by people of the country or voters comprising in the Lok Sabha of citizens of India and voters in the Rajya Sabha comprising of elected MLAs of the respective states. And that is why Lok Sabha has MPs who represent a small area called constituency, whereas Rajya Sabha has MPs who represent the entire state. So, for example, any state you take, the number of MPs in Rajya Sabha are representing the interest of the entire state per se, right? In the Rajya Sabha. Then, of course, the topic of membership. How are the what is it? Qualification, disqualification, largely vacating of seats, all such things. And finally, the presiding officer of Lok Sabha, the speaker, and the Rajya Sabha, the chairperson. So we are looking into the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha. That person is called a speaker, right? And we saw how the person is elected, what is the procedure of election, removal, what are the functions they perform, what are ways in which we can further enhance their independence, and also this concept of once a speaker always a speaker, what you have in UK as a concept. So once you become a speaker, you can continue to be the speaker irrespective of change in the political party, right, in power. That is not the case in India, though I said that G. Mavlankar, the first speaker in 1950s, had given this suggestion, let's go for this. But we did not like this suggestion, and so he said, it's okay, we won't. Anyway, I hope you have revised thoroughly. The revisions are over. The mock tests, you had attempted the mock tests also. And do let me know in the comment section your marks. I sound like a YouTuber. Comment section. So in the chat section, do let me know about the marks that you scored. And also with respect to your monthly magazine, the current affairs magazine, I think the revision is, the studies are going on. It's been 7 days now. I would assume that you must have at least read a substantial portion of the May month magazine. Now, political theory, the 4 chapters revision must have taken place properly in both the 2 days. And also, very important, you must have written the answers for the previous year questions that were asked from the topics 4 questions that you had in the annotated slides towards the end. That's it. So let's begin our discussion today. Okay, 18, 27, 27, 18, 23, 35 out of 40, I believe, total days. Okay, pretty decent as a score. I won't say 25, 27, 32. Okay, it seems that either the paper was easy or you're revising very well. The average marks are very high, surprisingly. Great. Very good. Okay. So let's begin our discussion now. We know the deal. First few minutes spent at some practice questions, starting with the first question, 45 seconds of time. Please mark your answer accordingly. A lot of you marked B as the correct answer. Let's see. Statement 1. It is contingency fund, firstly, not consolidated fund. It aims to facilitate meeting of urgent unforeseen expenditure by the government without any need for parliamentary authorization. Any need whatsoever, really. It is required post expenditure. So, yes, authorization of the parliament is required. But once the money has been spent, okay, once the money has been spent, so one is wrong. And amount from consolidated fund of India is used to recoup the contingency fund of India. And of course, I had mentioned this point that where does the money come from in the contingency fund? It comes from CFI only. That is what is called recouping, right? It's an English word which actually means that money from CFI is sent to contingency fund. From where will the money come in contingency fund? Of course, from CFI only. Just a different use of word called recoup, right? So 2 is correct because it is what is the procedure. In contingency fund, the money comes at regular intervals from CFI in tune of 30,000 crore rupees. And lastly, it is obligatory for the parliament to create such a fund. No, it is not obligatory. That is why we have a law. Remember, the very first point in the slide was Contingency Fund of India Act of 1950. So parliament by law can create this fund. When you say can create, it means it is not mandatory. That is why it is not obligatory. It may not. Of course, every country would want to create such a fund. It has done so through a law. That is why there is no law called CFI Act or PAI Act because it is mandatory. But for contingency fund, it was not mandatory, right? So Parliament by law could create a fund, and of course they created a fund. So it is not obligatory. Hence, only 1 is the right answer. Okay, rest all your concerns can be addressed if you revisit the slides and remember all the points. Moving on to the next question. So please mark your answer accordingly. Did we focus on a very important element here? Incorrect? Or we simply ignored it? It was incorrect, not correct. So seats are allotted to the states in Rajya Sabha on the basis of population. Of course, it's on the basis of population only. That is why UP as a state has 31 MPs. Smaller states just have 1 MP. It is based on population only. A person should be not less than 24. This is not for Rajya Sabha. 25 is for Lok Sabha. This is 30 here. So 2 is wrong. A candidate contesting an election to the Rajya Sabha from a particular state shall not be necessarily an elector. What is elector? Voter in that particular state. Of course, that is correct. You need not be a voter in that state. You have to be an elector from any parliamentary constituency across the country. Remember the chapter vice president? The qualification is to be eligible to be a member of Rajya Sabha. And there I had mentioned this point that name should be in the electoral rolls of any parliamentary constituency, right? So, of course, you need not be from the same state to represent the state in the Rajya Sabha. Clear? A very good example is our current finance minister, Nirmala Sitharaman. She belongs to Tamil Nadu. She represents Karnataka in the Rajya Sabha. So, since incorrect, only 1, A is the right answer. Okay. Moving on to the next question, the third one. Easy question. Yes, two options are same. It's a simple error, but that's not the right answer, so need not worry. The right answer is C. Which of the following are members of the Delimitation Commission? The retired Supreme Court judge, Chief Election Commissioner. Name the third member, please. Please write the answer. Who is the third member of the Delimitation Commission? Okay. President? State, a lot of you are correct. Of course, it's the State Election Commissioners, SEC. In all these states, we have a State Election Commissioner who is also a member of the what? Delimitation Commission. So C is the right answer. Moving on to the next question, that is question number 4. Please mark the answer now. 45 seconds of time. Okay, again, I would simply ask you, did you focus on the incorrect part first? If yes, good for you. In the system of first past the post, each constituency elects one representative is of course correct. The winning candidate in the system must secure more than 50% votes. That's the whole concept of first past the post, that the person who gets the highest number of votes wins the election. Remember, I had the example of A, B, C, D, where I think A got 26 votes, B got 24, C and D both got 25 each. So, who has the highest votes? A, and hence is the winner. So, 2 is wrong. Incorrect means B, 2 only is incorrect. Clear? So, I am again going to tell you, please read slowly. So, and also read the keywords here. Important. Last question for today. Great. A lot of you got this correct. At least 1/10 members are required to. This is not the criteria for removal of speakers. This is a criteria for removal of the what? President of the country. So one is wrong, the other two are correct. No reason is mentioned for their removal. No reason whatsoever is mentioned for their removal in the constitution. So 2 is correct. And yes, the removal is done through an effective majority, which is what? More than 50% of the effective strength of the house, which is more than 50% of, in brackets, total strength or membership minus vacancy. So 3 is also correct. 2 and 3 are correct. Two statements are correct. B is the right answer. Okay, that's great. Let's see the leaderboard. What is the situation? Oh, a lot of you got all 5 correct. Govind, Sri Lakshmi, Manya, Nandini, Monica, Pravalika, Shali. No, Pravalika. Then we have other people who got. You can see a lot of you did get 4 correct. Okay, so moving on. to our discussion at hand. So, in the last class, we had finished our discussion on the speaker. Now, we'll be looking into the deputy speaker and the other topics. First up, deputy speaker, very important. Number one, deputy speakers usually belong to the opposition party. From opposition party. Interestingly, currently, we have no deputy speaker. No deputy speaker at all. Also, one very interesting point is that you will observe is the date of election of deputy speaker is fixed by the speaker. So after the speaker gets elected, after the speaker is elected, he will decide one date, any date, and on that date the election for deputy speaker takes place, right? And so far the speaker has not decided any date, and that is why I don't have a deputy speaker right now. So this government has not given opposition any chance. In fact, they have said sorry, no need for deputy speaker also for you guys. Now deputy speaker's appointment and removal are analogous, meaning similar to the speaker. It is similar to the speaker, and removal also. So appointment from amongst the members of the Lok Sabha and removal is through an effective majority. This is something we have already seen. And the real task of deputy speaker is to act as a speaker when the speaker is not in the house. That's the whole point. So whenever speaker is not there, it's the deputy speaker who acts as a speaker, enjoys all benefits, all powers, all privileges on that behalf. Clear? So when that speaker is not there, whether the speaker is ill, sick, etc., deputy speaker is the speaker. So every power the speaker has will be enjoyed by the deputy speaker. One small point to be noted is that we'll be studying in future types of committees called parliamentary committees. So whenever in a parliamentary committee deputy speaker is a member, he automatically becomes the chairman of that committee. So that's there. See, deputy speakers are regular members of the house with no special provisions on a daily basis, apart from the fact that yes, of course, their salaries etc charged on the CFI and all, but beyond that no special powers for these people. They only get special powers the moment the speaker is absent, when they start acting like the deputy speaker. And deputy speaker's post is also mentioned in the constitution. Now, one question you may say, sir, since we don't have deputy speaker, what if the speaker is ill today? What if the speaker is not well? What if the speaker is in a coma? Should he come crawling and attend the session? Of course not. So we have the concept of, if there is no speaker, no deputy speaker, panel of chairpersons. This is their panel of chairpersons. There are maximum 10 MPs. They are all chosen by the speaker only. And these people who belong to the house, of course, these people are the ones who are chosen to run the house in case the speaker is not there, deputy speaker is not there. And they can be maximum 10 people like this, and the order is assigned to them. So let's say there are 10 people, somebody is given rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, rank 4, rank 5. So if the speaker is not there, deputy speaker is not there, rank 1, you come here and be the speaker for today. If he or she is not there, rank 2, you come and be the speaker for today. Or rank 3, come and be the speaker for today. This is how we have the concept of panel of chairpersons. So speaker absent, deputy speaker absent, panel of chairpersons. If all 10 people are absent suddenly, then we don't know as of now what is to be done, right? So this is there with respect to deputy speaker. Are we clear on this point, everyone? And again, deputy speaker, despite this post being mentioned in the constitution, it is not some generic kind of thing. It's a constitutional office, okay? Constitutional body, deputy speaker from the opposition party. This is actually a convention, of course, a convention meaning just a custom since 1996 that the deputy speaker will come from opposition. So this time the government has said no deputy speaker only, because the speaker of the country has not fixed any date for the election of the what? Deputy speaker. Clear? Lastly, solve a question first and then we'll move forward. I'll give you a minute to mark an answer, though it does not need a minute, but still. Okay, a lot of you got this correct. Great. As per rules of procedure in current business in Lok Sabha, the election of the deputy speaker shall be held on such date as the speaker may fix. Is correct. There is a mandatory provision. Oh, mandatory provision that the election of the candidate as deputy speaker of Lok Sabha shall be from either the principal opposition party or the ruling party. Right? So it is from the opposition party, but it's a convention. It's not a mandatory provision. Two is wrong. Remove two. Good old days. One is right, two is wrong. The good old days of elimination. Right? The deputy speaker has the same power as of the speaker when presiding over the sitting of the house, and no appeal lies against his rulings. Of course, when he is a speaker, he has full authority as a speaker. And a well-established parliamentary practice regarding the appointment of deputy speaker is that the motion is moved by speaker and duly seconded by the prime minister. Why will the speaker move a motion? Meaning, the speaker is a proposer and the PM is a seconder. Why will we have the speaker as proposer and the PM as seconder and all this nonsense? Some random point was created. When you have such things, always understand that those statements, if you have not read it anywhere, however no uniquely it is phrased, if you have not read it, there are chances that it is actually incorrect. Okay, so I think second point to be made clear, Utkarsh, I think it's very clear, right? there is a provision that election of a candidate as deputy speaker shall be from either the principal opposition party or the ruling party. What we have seen here, that deputy speaker should be from the opposition party. It's a convention. Here it says there is a mandatory provision. There is no mandatory provision. So this is wrong any which way. Okay. And from the opposition party or ruling party. So 2 is wrong. A, 1 and 3 is the right answer. Clear? Done. Lastly, the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Who is the chairman of Rajya Sabha? According to Article 64 or 89, both mention the same thing. The Vice President of India is the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Yes or no? And of course, he enjoys similar powers in Rajya Sabha as those enjoyed by Speaker in the Lok Sabha. All exactly same, no difference whatsoever, except that no power over money bills and joint sittings. Now, the Speaker presides over joint sittings. Okay, we'll discuss that shortly, hopefully today only. So you know that the chairperson of Rajya Sabha has no power to preside over joint sittings. And one simple question, I hope our people here would answer that question. The vice president, the chairman of Rajya Sabha is also an MP of the Rajya Sabha. Yes or no? No? Okay, great. Not necessarily. No, no. It is no only. And please don't write yes. VP cannot be a member of the Rajya Sabha. If he's a member of Rajya Sabha, cannot be VP. Okay. Now, in the Rajya Sabha, a deputy chairperson is required. Because see, VP is just not the chairperson of Rajya Sabha. VP is also a very senior constitutional dignitary. So he or she has other tasks also, very important. That is why he or she has to maybe travel outside, meet some foreign guests, lot of ceremonial functions to perform. So in the Rajya Sabha, we have chairperson. Below them, we have what? Deputy chairpersons. And below them, we have, just like the Lok Sabha, a panel of vice chairpersons. Now, of course, here also, these people, maximum 10 MPs from Rajya Sabha only, and they are also chosen by the chairperson. So, this is the order, the sequence. Clear? And these two people are Rajya Sabha MPs. Deputy chairperson elected by Rajya Sabha MPs. This person's removal is through an effective majority. Clear? All these basic things, I'm sure we have been seeing this a lot. That's it. We are done with the presiding officers of the Lok Sabha as well as the Rajya Sabha. Look at this question, asked in 2022, last year only, a 10-marker question. Discuss the role of Vice President of India as the chairman of Rajya Sabha. Discuss the role of Vice Presidents of India as chairman of Rajya Sabha. Simple, straightforward. All you have to do is mention the functions. All the functions we have seen for the speaker, exact same functions for the vice president also. You can simply mention one small line that, however, since VP is not a member of the House, therefore the VP is not, firstly, as a member of House, VP will not be taking part in joint sittings and does not preside over joint sittings. Secondly, since Rajya Sabha has no power over money bills, hence the VP has no control over deciding whether the bills are money bills or not. So just mention the functions. That's it. So sometimes such static questions are also asked. Okay. Now I hope this question was solved, can be solved at least in future. Second, one more question which was asked in case of 2020, the role of speaker. Once a speaker, always a speaker. Do you think this practice should be adopted to impart objectivity to the office of speaker? So, do you think this practice should be adopted to impart objectivity? So, here in the intro, you can see there are two types of intros. One intro can be, you can simply write that you can explain the concept once a speaker. Okay. Or alternatively, you can also write the current context. What is the current context? The current context is right now. In the recent times, the role of speakers has come under a lot of public debate as being biased or heavily favored in the favor of government, the ruling party. For example, lack of discussions on farm bill, etc. So you can write that also. In the body, if you have given some current context in the introduction, in the body explain once a speaker, or you can start simply writing about what? We start writing about why independence is important and why once a speaker is not a good idea. So basically, you can talk about how it takes away this power of the voter to decide from the constituency, right? As to how to choose somebody who is a elected representative working for the benefit of the constituency. So if you take away their right to vote and choose, that could be a challenge. That is why may not be a good idea. That's also a reason why we will not have this concept. And you can give the example also that back in 1952 it was thought that we can have this, but sadly we did not have this provision. And then in the conclusion, you can talk about how, since this post is important, some suggestions are required. What kind of suggestions on how we can further enhance independence? So we saw in the slide also ways or steps to enhance independence. That's what you can mention in the answer. Okay, simple, straightforward. I would request you firstly that Prabjot did not get the question only. Can you explain the phrase? This phrase. This phrase was discussed in the class on Friday. Once a speaker, always a speaker, irrespective of Shally and Prabhuchand, I'm not really sure if this is your first class. For somebody who has a first class like this, it would be challenging to directly jump in and understand everything. We have been studying this on Friday, I believe. So I'm slightly confused as to how to proceed on this now. So, guys, if this is your first ever class, I think it would be more appropriate to firstly look through the 5 classes that we have had in the past week, right? Anyway, so once a speaker, always a speaker simply means that in UK, there's a concept that irrespective of any party coming to power, once a person has been chosen as a speaker, he or she continues to be the speaker till he resigns. Okay. Okay, so that's it with respect to this question. Again, for all these PYQs, there are recordings on tablet available. You can visit the particular recording, see the video, and then solve the question. Right? So initially it's just practice, so you can see the video and see the answer, then write the answer on your own. Now coming to voting in the parliament. Firstly, very important, before we begin our discussion, voting in the parliament will only take place if quorum is met. What is quorum? 1/10 of total membership is called quorum. So voting in the parliament will take place only when the quorum has been met. Otherwise, sorry, no voting in the parliament. If quorum is not there, then the sitting of the day is suspended. Clear? Now voting can be of two kinds. Number one is informal voting, and you'll be surprised that more than 90% things in the parliament are done through informal voting only, wherein the presiding officer, speaker, or chairman would ask the people in the house, this is a bill, should you pass this bill? Yes or no? MPs shout, ayes, yes, or noes, no. So, how many yes, how many no? You just have to shout yes or no. And whoever has whatever yes or no has a larger volume is what is followed. Simple. That is what is the voice vote. It is a British practice, ayes and noes or nays. So we could have shouted yes also, but that's how they do in Britain. They did in Britain. So we followed it and we have copied it. Now it's just a matter of convention. Yes or no, same thing. No worries. So most things take place like this only. But sometimes when some MP says, no, sir, I want machine voting, or maybe the presiding officer feels that yes and no voice is almost the same, or some MPs will, while sitting on their seat, say, sir, I raise a motion, please, I want voice vote, I want machine voting. Then we can go for proper machine voting also, which is called AVRE. AVRE stands for automated vote recording equipment. This is called AVRE, voting machine installed in every table. It has 3 buttons primarily. One is, of course, the green button, which says yes. Then you have the red button, which says no. Now I am using dark pink, for I should have used red. No, okay, red is also visible, no problem. No. And then we have a yellow button which says abstain. I don't want to vote. I'm saying I have no view on that. Can't say kind of situation. So the house is cleared. The MPs are told, come on, get back to your seat. When all the MPs are sitting on the seat, then what happens? Then the presiding officer says, okay, the voting machine is on for 30 seconds. Press the button, get your vote registered. That's how voting is done. Clear? Distribution of, AV RE. The other alternative is distribution of slips, ballot paper, done for election of the president or the vice president. Ballot paper is used. These are two ways to vote in the what? In the parliament. This use of machine started basically in West Bengal back in 1950s, and this AVRE was used for the first time in 1957 in the parliament. So you can mention this point also here, that used in parliament for the first time in 1957. Voting in the parliament. Now, since we know how voting takes place, very generic kind of information, let's now look into the various types of majorities that we have in the legislature. Types of majorities in the Indian legislature. There are four types of majorities: absolute, effective, simple, and special. We'll first look at all these three. Majority means what? Majority means more than 50%. This is called majority. Special is different. That is why it is called a special majority. It is not more than 50%. It is 2/3. But we'll first look into the majority, which are absolute, effective, and simple, starting with absolute majority. So I'll use a simple example, and we'll follow this example only. The example will be the case of Lok Sabha. The total strength of Lok Sabha is 543. Yes or no? Total strength or total membership is 543. Let us assume there is some vacancy in the Lok Sabha. 13 MPs were going to go on a bus. The bus crashed. MPs passed away. Seats are vacant. Now, what is effective strength? Effective strength is going to be 543 minus 13, which is 530. On any given day, let us assume that there are some people present and voting. 420 people are present and voting. We'll use this example. I hope everybody has understood what this example means, right? We have currently this as the example. Now, what is absolute majority? Absolute majority would mean more than 50% of total strength of the house. What is total strength of the house? Total strength of the house is 543. More than 50 upon 100 into 543. Of is into, percentages upon 100. You calculate it, it should be more than 271.5, which is what? 272. This is the number of MPs required in the Lok Sabha to support a situation when absolute majority is required. I'll repeat, this is the number of MPs required in the Lok Sabha to support any proposal which requires passing the proposal with a absolute majority. And where is it applied? It is applied in only one place: formation of government at center and states. After every election, when the government is formed in the Lok Sabha or the legislative assembly, then what majority is required? Absolute majority is required. I hope this point is clear for everyone. Next is effective majority. We have already seen this majority actually. What is effective majority? effective majority is what? More than 50% of effective strength, which is calculated on the basis of total membership minus the vacancy. Let's take the same example of Lok Sabha. Again, let's write total strength 543, vacancy is 13. So effective strength becomes what? Total strength minus vacancy, which is equal to 530. P and V. What is P and V? P and V, present and voting. Clear? This is an example. So here, effective majority would mean more than 50% of what? Effective strength. What is this effective strength in this example? In this example, effective strength is 530. So more than 50 upon 100 into 530. Half of it is 265. More than that is 266. So in this example, 266 MPs are required in Lok Sabha to approve any proposal which requires effective majority. So, for example, removal of presiding and deputy presiding officers in the legislature, that is done through an effective majority. Removal of VP in the Rajya Sabha is done through what kind of majority? Effective majority. So these are examples of the use of effective majority, one which you have already seen in the what? Previous cases. PNV 420, how? Somebody is asking. Bhai, this is an example I gave. On any day 420, 440. Example. Right? How else will I give examples? I don't know how many MPs are sitting right now because there is no session right now. Okay. Legislature? Chituri asks a very important question. Legislature. Amazing. Legislature. The parliament is the legislature. Legislature is a body, an organ of state which makes laws. Legislatures like the parliament, like the state legislative assembly, state legislative council, these are called legislatures. I hope this point is clear now. Don't worry on calculation. I just thought it would be easier for some of you to understand. I clearly sense now that at least handful of you have no idea on maths. You have left maths for good after class 10th. So it's like true hate for maths was there and you were just dying to end maths. Somehow it's gone. Ignore it. Just remember this point. Nothing else is required. If you remember this point, it is going to be sufficient. Same thing here. Just remember this point. What is absolute? Please repeat with me. What is absolute majority? More than 50% of the total membership or total strength of the house. What is effective majority? More than 50% of the effective strength, which is what? Total strength minus what? Vacancy. It can be 13, right? It can be 10, whatever. And just to clarify, effective strength means the actual current strength. See, in the Lok Sabha, there are 543 seats, right? But Rahul Gandhi is disqualified. That seat is vacant, right? Are you getting this point? Vacancy has been created. Seat is vacant. But let's say Narendra Modi on some day does not come to the house. That is called absence in the house, not vacancy. The seat is still there. The seat belongs to Narendra Modi only. He has not come today. That's called absence. So present and voting refers to people who have come on that day. That's the difference. Okay. Should we move on now? Everyone? Okay. Last is the simplest kind of majority and which is the one which is used almost everywhere. This is an example of how we have this word called effective majority. So effective majority in the constitution is not referred to as effective majority. If you look at the constitution, they use a different word. They use a word called all the then members. Look at this. A vice president may be removed from his office by a resolution of the Council of States. Remember Article 67B, the removal of the vice president in the Rajya Sabha, passed by a majority of all the then members. This term is what is referred to as what? Effective majority. So, effective majority is also referred to as all the then members. Lastly, as I said, the simplest of all majorities is a simple majority. As a name only says simple. How simple is it? Total strength 543. Let us say there is some vacancy 13. Effective strength is 530. P and V. I am repeating for all our innocent aspirants who are sleeping till now. Please wake up. Suddenly don't wake up and say, what is PNV? What is happening here? PNV stands for present and voting. When you come on that day in the parliament and are taking part in the sitting on that day, and you are in the house, you're pressing some button, that's called present and voting. Maybe you have come on that day, you have gone to the washroom, right? And the voting started. That is not called present and voting. Present and voting. Present and voting. Clear? Let's take an example. It is 420. So simple majority means of forget the total membership, effective strength. We don't care how many people have come here today, right now. If more than half say yes, I understand, understand. Yes, we want to pass the bill, pass the bill. That's it. Simple majority. More than 50% of the members present and voting. More than 50% of P and V present and voting, which is what? In this case, more than 50 upon 100 into 420, which is equal to 211. This is just an example. The only correct figure is this. All these are examples. Please don't be confused. Don't say, sir, are 13 seats always vacant? I just gave an example. Are only 420 people present always? No. This number can vary, right? Now, since simple majority is very commonly used, so what we refer to this as, we call this a functional majority, because this is what is used in most cases to make lot of modifications. This is what is used. Achha, in the constitution, please understand, in the constitution, they use a word for it called bylaw. So now from this date onwards, in the constitution, if you find this phrase mentioned anywhere called by law, always assume that they are asking for a simple majority. Look at this. Parliament may by law. What is this by law? By law refers to simple majority. Are we clear on this? Somebody has said, sir, 50% of 420 is 210. Then why 211 is the answer? Others who understood, please explain why we have taken 211. Why not 210? Tell me. Okay, it is more than this symbol. Thankfully, people understand this. Great. This symbol is important, right? Let me more than, and that is why not 50%, but more than 50%. That would be 211. So this is how you calculate the majorities. Are we clear on this? It does not matter who is voting. Now, some of you may say, sir, in the case of absolute majority, if some seats are vacant, then why are we using those seats also in the total calculation? That is how the calculation is. Simple. You have to calculate the majority on this value. That's it. In the effective majority, you calculate your majority on this value. In simple majority, you calculate majority on this value. That's it. So need not make things more complicated. And there are a lot of places where you have this kind of majority application to pass ordinary bills, money bills, financial bills, all such motions, all such things, every such thing. Look at this. So many things in the country are done through a simple majority. Don't remember all this. Remember the other exceptional cases of absolute, effective, and special majority. Everything else is what is done through a simple majority. Are we clear on this? The three most basic kind of majorities. Okay. Of this, only one thing is fixed. This absolute majority is actually fixed. It will not change. Why? Because it depends on a fixed number, which is total membership. Alok, the point again is that absolute majority is calculated on the basis of that number. We don't care whether 13 MPs are dead or 100 MPs are dead. We need that number. That's it. If 272 MPs support, task is over. If in the entire parliament all members have died except 272, they survive. It is sufficient. Clear? Okay. Now let's come to special majorities. See, first things first, the special majority does not have 50%. It is called special because the requirement is at least two-thirds. Mind you, 50%, more than 50%. Here, at least two-thirds. So it is not your typical 50% thing, it's two-thirds. First up is Article 61. Please, our innocent aspirants will tell us here what is Article 61, if it is possible for you to tell me. No idea. Okay, great. Very good here. Absolutely correct. Impeachment. Of the president. Impeachment. And what's the majority required? Please write that also. Don't act smart. Don't write two-third. Two-third of what? So sweet. Please write 1/10. Two-third of what? Two-third of present and voting. Two-third of effective strength. What two-third? So clearly now it is visible that revisions are not very nicely being done. 2/3 of total membership or total strength. Are we clear? Not present and voting. 2/3 of total membership. Don't write 2/3 of absolute majority. No, please. Don't use words like this, because absolute means something else. 2/3 of total strength or total membership. Great. So I think we know what is Article 61. Need not stress further on this. Coming to Article 249 and 312, what exactly are these two articles? So these two articles are special powers of Rajya Sabha. Very unique, right? Let's see. This is special power of Rajya Sabha. And the majority required here is 2/3 present and voting. Clear? Let's see what is the special power of Rajya Sabha. So please follow carefully. I'll explain slowly. So let's read. Now, if at any point of time it is necessary, or how do you say, expedient, very urgent, in national interest, then Rajya Sabha can, only Rajya Sabha, authorize the parliament. What do you mean by parliament? Both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. To do what? Number one, to make laws on state list subjects. State list subjects. Okay. So normally, that's why if you refer to now the very first class, you will find that on the slide of division of power, we say state list. Normally, the states have power to make laws, but there are special situations where the parliament can make laws on some state list subjects. Now, this authorization is valid for 1 year at a time and can be renewed any number of times. So for next 1 year, the parliament can keep on making laws on state list subjects. Are we clear on this? This authorization is valid for 1 year at a time. I hope this point is understood. Clear? Now, one very important thing. This authorization, as I said, is what? Is via 2/3 present and voting, and that too at least. So This means that when Raj Sabha passes a proposal with a two-third majority, then the parliament can make laws on certain stateless subjects. But the point is, are those laws permanent in nature? Of course not. Those laws are not permanent in nature. The laws are meant for only a small period of time. For how long? That depends on the authorization. What is authorization? The permission given to the parliament to make laws. This permission is only meant for 1 year at a time. So, every law made during that 1 year period will continue 6 months after the end of authorization. And very important, it is not mandatory for the parliament to make laws. Parliament can make laws, may or may not, may or may not make laws. I am repeating this here. May or may not make laws. It is not mandatory for the parliament that once the permission has been given, you have to make a law. No, it can say, I will not make a law. Simple. No problem whatsoever. But important point is this: laws made cease to operate 6 months after end of authorization. I'll give you an example here for you to understand. Let's say 26/06/23. This is where the permission was given. Authorization has been given on this date. This authorization is valid for how long? For 12 months, 1 year. So it will continue till 25/06/2024. In this period, you can make laws. Let us say that Parliament did make laws, made laws in the month of October, December, etc. Right? Made laws. All the laws made in this period, they will continue till how many months? 6 months after the end of authorization. So this is a point where permission ends, clear, and all the laws made, they also come to an end 6 months after. That would be 24/12/2024. This is what is Article 249, which is special power of the Rajya Sabha to authorize the parliament to make laws on state list subjects. Clear? All okay? Did you understand 249? Okay. I will repeat once again for all those who have slight doubt in this. Okay. Though it is very clear, but still, if it is, now please hear me out. Be patient and hear me out. Don't sleep, don't dream, focus here. If it is very urgent, in national interest, this urgency the Rajya Sabha decides. So don't ask me, sir, what is this urgency? It could be any urgent matter, some security matter, Maoist activity. It depends. Subjective. If it is very urgent in national interest, then Rajya Sabha, only Rajya Sabha, in their house will pass a proposal authorizing, that is giving permission to the parliament, meaning both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, that now you can make laws on some topic in the state list for some subject, right? Selectively possible. This just gives permission, meaning the parliament can now make laws on these topics. Can make laws, not mandatory. May or may not make laws for 1 year. In that 1 year period, the parliament can make any number of laws on the allowed state list topic. Any number of laws. But the problem is that any law you make is not a permanent law. Those laws continue to exist and operate till the end of authorization and 6 months after the end of permission. So let us say the permission was given on 26th of June today. This permission is valid for 1 year, 25th of June 24, 1 year. In this 1 year, you can make any number of laws on stateless subjects. Once the laws are made, these laws only continue 6 months after the end of authorization, meaning they can continue till the end of authorization and also 6 extra months. That means the laws can maximum continue for 1.5 years and can minimum continue for 6 months, right? And then all these laws end. This is what is Article 249. Explained properly now. You have your live recordings also. You can view the recordings. And as I said, it can be renewed any number of times. So if you want to renew the law within these 6 months, you simply have to authorize again and the law continues. Clear? All laws made during this period, they all end on the same date, this date. Are we clear? Whether you start asking questions, sir, what if law is made on 26th only? When will it end? Same date. Sir, law is made on 25th of June, 24. When will the law end? Same date, right? So it's all exactly the same, no difference whatsoever. Irrespective of the date on which the laws are made, all the laws cease to operate on the very same date, that is 6 months after end of the authorization. Yeah, tell me something. Uh, why do you think Rajya Sabha has been given this power? Tell me. Okay, first and foremost, and the real reason for this is that Raj Sabha is the representation of states in the parliament, and that is why Raj Sabha has been given the power. That's the only reason. Raj Sabha has been given the power because Raj Sabha is the representation of states in the parliament. Anyway, this was Article 249. Article 312 is very easy. It simply says that if it is necessary or urgent in national interest, then Raj Sabha can authorize the parliament to what? To not make, let's use to create a new All India service. So, as of now, currently we have 3 All India services: IAS, Indian Police Service, and Indian Forest Service. If you want to add more All India services, for example, you want to add Indian Education Service, Indian Health Service, etc., then we can simply ask the Raj Sabha, please allow, and then the Parliament can create a new All India service. Are we clear on this? This is Article 249.312, special powers of the Rajya Sabha, which requires a two-third majority, at least two-third of the strength present and voting, of the members present and voting, not the total strength. Total strength is for what? For impeachment of president. Lastly is Article 368. This is the provision of amendment to the Constitution. Indian Constitution is amended through this provision only. And here it's a combination of two majorities. At least two-third present and voting, more than 50% total strength, whichever is more. This is how you amend the Indian Constitution. Clear? So let us see what exactly is the amendment. Please, guys, remember this Article 368 article is important. Let's see the process. So when you are going to amend the Indian Constitution, what is the majority required? As I mentioned here, it's a combination, two-third members present and voting, and more than 50% of the total strength, whichever is more. Is higher. This is what is the majority required. Now, very important element is this fact that uh, very few things selectively in the Constitution require this kind of majority. Right now, let's take an example. Total strength, Lok Sabha 543. Let's take some vacancy also. Vacancy is 13. Let us take present voting, PNV, as 420. Now, if this is a situation, then how many people are needed to support a proposal to amend the Constitution? Let's calculate. We have two things, that is more than 50% total strength, and we have 2 by 3 PNV. So this would mean what? More than 50% of 543, which is what? Which is 272. Two-third PNV, 2 by 3 into 420, 314 times into 2, 280. Tell me, how many people are required to amend the Constitution here? Please tell me. 280, because whichever is higher. So 280 people are required to amend the Constitution, not 281, because two-third is at least two-third. Two-third is okay. 50% is more than 50%. So don't say 281. The answer is 280, not 281. Clear? Okay, this is simple. I have calculated it. Tell me, how many people are required if present and voting is 360? Please, I want to know the answer. These things remain the same. But if present and voting becomes 360, how many people are required to amend the Constitution? Please. When you write your answer, just think on what you are typing and then type the answer. Please. No change being made, despite me saying it. And now some of you have made a change. So all those who are writing 240, please think when you're typing 240, is 240 the answer? Tell me, is 240 the answer? 240 cannot be the answer, because this number is 272. 2/3 of 360 is of course 240. Very nice, very good. I appreciate it. Amazing. Great calculation. But between these two, whichever is higher, which is larger? 272 is larger. So these many people are required to amend the constitution. Clear? Okay. Just one last, just for fun. Present and voting is 510. Now tell me, how many people are required to amend the constitution? Please. The right answer is 340. Why? Because 2 by 3 into 510 is 340, and 272, which is higher? 340 is higher. So these many people are required. Anyway, calculation not important for the examination. Don't worry. Process is important. Just remember, 2/3 present and voting, more than 50% total membership. Please, will you remember this? Repeat with me. Wake up from slumber and sleep. 2/3 present and voting, more than 50% total membership. This is the majority required to amend the Indian Constitution. Now, one very important and critical element. When you are amending the Indian Constitution, there are a lot of things which also impact the states. For example, there is something called state list. If I at the central level want to make a law on state list subject, what do? You will say, sir, use Article 249. Okay, I will. But the problem with Article 249 is it is only valid for 1 year, and the law is also not permanent. And every time I had to take the permission from Rajya Sabha, every time, every 1 year. I want something permanent. What if I take the topic from state list and put it in the union list? Done? Permanent. But the problem is, if I take out a topic from state list and put it in the union list, that is also impacting the states. Or some of you may say, sir, I find the vote value thing very complicated in the president's election. What is this vote value nonsense? Why should the MLAs take part in this election? Remove them. They should not take part in the elections. Fair enough? Fair enough. When you want to modify the formula for the election of the president, tell me which article is that firstly. Type. So if you want to modify the electoral college, that the electoral college will comprise only of MPs, not MLAs, then what do we do? If you modify that Article 54 is the answer anyway. So if you modify Article 54, you are also impacting the state's power, right? So when any such thing is done which impacts state's power, then we have to take state's permission also. Simple. We'll ask the states that, guys, we are going to modify the constitution, which is also trying to change what? The federal structure. So states, can you please approve? If half of the states ratify. What is ratify? Ratify means to pass, to approve. If half of the states ratify it, then the task is over. And how to ratify it? By a simple majority. States will approve by a simple majority. Now, what about other half of the states? What if they don't approve? They say, no, we don't care. Are you getting my point? We don't care at all. And in how much time should the states approve? No time limit. So we have currently 28 states. If 14 states approve, the day the 14th state approves, right, then what happens? The the constitution is modified, and whatever was being done is done. Whether it is today, tomorrow, 10 years later, 1 lakh years later, we don't care. This is how you amend the federal structure, those areas where states also get impacted. And these are the examples of federal structure: election of president and its manner, the extent limit of power of the union and the state government, Supreme Court and High Courts. If you want to decrease their power, mind you, states also have to be taken into consideration. Then distribution of the lawmaking power between union and states. Then any of the list in the 7th schedule. I gave this example only. See, any list in the 7th schedule. So some example is GST. Example is NJAC. NJAC was the amendment being made to modify the power of the Supreme Court collegium system. Some of you may not know what is this NJAC collegium, what is happening. Ignore it. In few days' time, you will know what is NJAC. National Judicial Appointment Commission. There was a system where we wanted an alternative for collegium system. That is also impacting the power of Supreme Court. So that bill had to be passed by states also. Or representation of states in the parliament. And finally, if somebody says, sir, what is this Article 368? So complicated, 2/3, more than 50%. I am very bad at maths. Make the process simple. Even to make the process simple, you have to use the same process. Clear on this? Are we okay? So even if you want to modify the procedure under Article 368, the same procedure is required. These are the examples related to the federal structure. I would request you to mug up these examples, these and only these. Clear? That's it. Now, before we move further, a small thing. When it comes to such proposals, which are called constitutional amendment proposals, what exactly is the provision? How do these proposals work? So such bills can be initiated in either house of parliament. Meaning, if you want to amend the Indian constitution, such a proposal can be brought in any house, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, but not the state legislature. Are we clear? In India, unlike in USA, states have no power to bring a proposal, to initiate a proposal, to move a proposal to modify the constitution. Number two, such a proposal can be brought by any MP of the house. Now, let me just help you understand. This is the house, parliament. This parliament comprises of two houses. Yes or no? One is the Lok Sabha, the other is the Rajya Sabha. Now, this house comprises of lot of MPs. MPs are sitting in the Lok Sabha. Some MPs are sitting in the Rajya Sabha. All these MPs are there. Some MPs, I'm sure you are aware, some MPs are actually ministers. Yes or no? Some MPs are ministers. They are called in our country Council of Ministers, right? Executive is a part of legislature. Executive is a part of legislature. So some MPs are called ministers. What about other MPs? All other MPs who are not ministers, all these people who are non-minister, they are also called private member. Are you clear? They are called private members. Meaning, if you are an MP from BJP but not a minister, private member. If you are an MP from Congress, not a minister, private member. If you are a nominated MP, not a minister, private member. So the criteria is whether elected or nominated, whether from Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, whether from BJP, Congress, Aam Aadmi Party, DMK, TMC, whatever party you choose. If you are not a minister in the parliament, you are called a private member. Are we clear on this definition, or does it still need some explanation? Okay, great. So, very simple. So, this proposal can be brought by anyone. Look at an example here. This is Mr. Manish Tiwari. Manish Tiwari is a private member. He is an MP from Congress, and he brought a bill to amend the constitution. Just an example to show that such bills can be brought by anyone. Now, number 3, such bills do not need any prior permission from anyone. Okay, they can be introduced by anyone, and each house must pass the bill separately. Pass the bill separately. No concept of joint sitting. And what is the passage? Combination 2/3 present and voting. Tell me, more than 50% total strength of the house. Clear? Lastly, when such a bill is sent to the president, we have seen this under veto powers. When such a bill is sent to the president has, no option whatsoever to do what? To use any veto power. The president must give his assent to the bills. This was done through the 24th Amendment Act 1971. He can neither withhold the bill, his assent, nor return the bill. No veto can be used. You have to give assent to the bill. Are we clear on this, everybody? Okay. That's it. We are done with the procedure to amend the Indian Constitution. Right? Solve this question. Came this year only, 2023. Done. Oh, in case you can't see. Okay, a lot of you mark this correct. Great. If the election of President of India is declared void, cancelled by the Supreme Court of India, which article is this? Please tell me first. Article 71, right? All acts done by him before that date of decision become invalid. Of course not. He has signed so many bills. How can that become invalid? One is wrong. Number two, election for the post of President of India can be postponed on the ground that some assemblies have been dissolved. Whether assembly is dissolved, not dissolved, we don't care. Election will take place on its own fixed time. Are we clear on this? Nonsense. When a bill is presented to the President of India, the Constitution prescribes time limits. There is no time limit mentioned. Please, nonsense. No time limit whatsoever. Gone. All three are wrong. D, none is correct. If in some state, I think we had discussed these two provisions earlier also in the chapter precedent. So don't apply some unique kind of logic here, right? It was discussed earlier only. And if all of you had read Article 71 on your own because it was marked as an important article, then you'd know that these two statements are also wrong. Anyway, multiple ways to make you understand that revision is important. So, how two option is wrong? Election for the post of president can be postponed. No, it can't be postponed. Okay? Simple. Are we clear on this question 1, 2, and 3? Any problem whatsoever? Raghav, what if deadlock is there? If in an amendment bill deadlock is there, the bill will not pass. A very good example is the 108th amendment bill, which is still pending. First point says if the president's election is cancelled by the Supreme Court after inquiry and all, then from the date the person became the president till the date the election is cancelled, in that time frame, whatever steps the president takes, right, those steps are held to be valid. They will not be held invalid. And ignore what is deadlock. God, ignore somebody asked. That is why I don't entertain such questions which are asked from future point of view, because others feel what is happening. It's okay. We'll study today what is nothing. Deadlock is nothing. Deadlock is when one house wants to pass a bill, other house doesn't want to pass a bill. Confrontation between both the houses is called deadlock. That's it. Ignore. It will be discussed in future. Don't worry. Second point is also very simple. If in some state president's rule is there, elections have not taken place in some state, assembly has been dissolved, no MLAs in the state, it does not mean that election will not take place for the post of president. The election for the post of president will always take place. Okay? Vejsri, that is what I am saying. Why are you contradicting this point? That's what I'm saying, that irrespective of whether there is some assembly or not, elections will not take place. I'll give you a simple example which will help you understand. Elections take place in the country, Lok Sabha elections. You are very sick, you are ill, cannot go and vote. What happens? Will the voting be cancelled because the great person cannot vote? Of course not, right? So the election takes place in its own due time. Whether you can vote or cannot vote does not matter. Others can vote, right? It's okay. So that's it. Solve this question asked last year. Slightly on the easier side, I would say. Okay, a lot of you marked this correct. I'm not sure what went wrong here. A bill amending the constitution requires prior recommendation. This is wrong. Look at this. It does not require prior permission of president. One is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. B is the right answer. Right. Good old days of elimination technique. When a constitution amendment bill is presented to the president of India, it is obligatory for him to sign. Of course, it is obligatory for him to sign. When a constitutional amendment bill must be passed by both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha by a special majority, of course, and there is no provision for a joint sitting. Each house must pass the bill separately. Both 2 and 3 are correct. Okay. Solve one more question asked in 2013. Very simple, very easy question. Why have all of you marked B as the answer? Did we read the statement carefully? This is wrong, right? An amendment to the Constitution of India can be initiated by an introduction of a bill in the Lok Sabha only is wrong. Okay. Any house. Now, if such an amendment seeks to make changes in the federal character, the amendment also requires to be ratified by the legislature of how many states? Please repeat now. How many states? Half of the states, not all the states. Only 50% states are required. So 2 is also wrong. So the right answer is D, neither 1 nor 2. I hope those who marked B as correct will now understand reading the statement slowly and carefully is what is important. Okay, that's it. So we are done with the amendment to the Indian Constitution. Just a small point before we take a break. The same kind of majority, that is 2/3 present and voting, more than 50% total strength. The same majority is also required in some other cases. These are some examples. We'll be discussing all these things as and when the time comes in future. I've just mentioned a reference here only. Okay, for easier revision. Once you come back and revise polity, maybe after 4 or 5 years, if at all you want to revise. Okay, that's it. Let's take a break. After a break, we'll move on and understand types of bills in the parliament and passage of bills. Break, please. Be back at 8:05. Full enjoyment of 16 minutes long break. Enjoy your break, please. Okay, let's continue. Gyan. No expert opinion expected. Sir, what cabinet is inserted in Article 3 Clause 3 through Amendment Act shall cabinet is body after. What is this expert legendary opinion? I'm not sure what this means. This word cabinet, which was inserted, if you have taken the time and effort to look into the article, you would realize that the meaning there is a reference to the Council of Ministers in Article 74. So, if the question says, and your question is the word cabinet used in the constitution? Yes. If the category of ministers called cabinet ministers is mentioned, no, it is not. The constitution does not classify ministers based on their ranking, cabinet, etc. But the word cabinet is used in the constitution. That's for your answer. I'm not sure what is this expert opinion sarcasm going on here. Refrain from sarcasms, just question to the point. Pooja, that's the whole point. Some states MLAs are not there, other states MLAs are there, right? Just because in your constituency 20-30 voters are ill does not mean the voting will stop. Voting will take place. That's it. Soumya, it was Article 368 which was amended. Chituri, every 2 years. Yes, Kambapati, it was passing a reference. My mistake, my bad. Yeah. Garvit, keep those opinions to yourself, right? That's why we, very weird. You find that a lot of you who are maybe working as working professionals fail to realize that right now you're a student, okay? And that decorum of being a student should always be followed. Remember your school days, college days. It also reflects a lot on what you are as a person. So, and trust me on this, any stupid statement or misbehavior is just a sure shot guarantee of your failure in future, in all future endeavors in life. Haji Kishan, in every year UPSC has come up with some kind of unprecedented phrases which may not be known. It may always happen. You cannot plan for this. Out of 20 questions, of course, there'll be some questions for which a lot of people may not have any answer. And sometimes, say, some optional may give you a helping hand. Let's say there's a very difficult question in history. Now, people with history optional could answer the question, not a GS paper question, not a person from other options in a GS paper. These things are part and parts of the larger game in the country, right? So it's okay. We cannot prepare selectively for these things. Utkarsh, not required. Utkarsh, fundamental rights not required. Vikas, am I in your class or not? Sir, I believe you are in the class. Which service is included? All India services have just three things as of now. All India Judicial Service was being planned to be set up, but the states have not actually been on board with this. Arjun, obligatory is mandatory. It's an obligation on somebody, right? So that is meant as mandatory. Hemant, firstly, this means that you are saying that speakers should resign. Speakers need not resign. I mean, we want them to resign, right? We want them to resign, but they don't resign. In India, speakers don't resign from the party. They should resign. Similarly, deputy speakers, no, I don't think so. Deputy speakers have a very small role to play. When the speaker is not there, uh, they can also resign. But should they resign? I don't think so. Not really required. Who cares about deputy speaker? Okay, Shama, why your doubts are not taken? What are your doubts, by? How do I selectively in all the group of doubts take up your name, Shama? Wait, sir, what you have to say on the questions asked? No, no, I would not make any statement on what question was asked to the Prime Minister. Some of our left-wing news channels, or sorry, the YouTube news channels were very happy that finally a question is asked to the Prime Minister. It's a perspective. A question on the okay, a question on the minorities and their rights. Chetturi's question has been addressed. Frequency of elections, 2 years. Can the speaker be a part of Lok Sabha as in a normal MP? Yes, they can. If they win the elections, they can. No problem. No, Shiva, veto power is not specifically mentioned as a word in the constitution, but the inherent implied idea is always there. Shivani, again, you're getting confused. Not half the members, half the state's approval is required. Okay? Yes, Kishan, same article also uses that provision. Kanika, no, speakers can't be ministers while they are speakers. How is it possible? Speakers can become ministers once they have resigned from the post of speaker. Like in the case of Manipur, not resigned, but after finishing the 5-year term, because of his amazing performance, Vai Khemchand was made the minister in the next government. Anyway, let's now move on and look into the understanding of types of bills in the parliament. When it comes to the bills in the parliament, there are two ways to, or two categories of bills. One such category is that of the bills based on introduction, that is who is introducing the bill. Just a sec, guys. Okay, so bills based on introduction, as in who introduces the bill in the house. That's point number one. Second is based on content. What does the bill contain? Coming to introduction, public bill or private member bill. So what is a public bill? As the name suggests, a bill which is introduced by the minister is called a public bill. Introduced by minister. Number two, see, when you are bringing a bill in the house, always understand that bringing a bill requires some prior information to the house. You cannot simply walk into the house and throw the bill in the house that, come on, start this bill today. That's not how it functions. You have to inform the house beforehand only, because every day things are planned accordingly. Agenda is set for the day, right? So if you are informing the house beforehand, only then can the bill be incorporated in the today's agenda, today's activities. So prior notice is required. 7 days. So you have to inform 7 days beforehand only that I want to get this bill in the house. Then you'll be allowed to get this bill in the house. First thing. Secondly, see, this prior notice thing of 7 days can be reduced to just 1 day. It's possible. But in that circumstance, what is required is that you publish the bill in the Gazette of India. Can be reduced to 1 day if bill is published in the Gazette. Remember Gazette of India, the weekly government magazine, the official magazine, right? So that is why it is a public. That is why the criteria for public bill is that if the minister, this is called a government bill, public bill or government bill, just a name for it. This bill is brought by ministers and requires 7 days prior notice, and this 7 days notice can be reduced to 1 day of notice if and only if the bill has been, prior to giving the notice, been published in the Gazette of the country, where a draft proposal is presented to the people to read. If that is the case, then 1 day prior notice is also sufficient. This is based on the introduction. Number one, a bill introduced by minister in the house. Second is a bill introduced by the private member. Who is a private member? Non-minister. These bills introduced by non-ministers. Non-ministers. Now, of course, there are some other criteria also. For example, these bills are introduced only on Fridays. Nowadays, the practice is alternate Fridays, but on Fridays. Then, also very important, you simply cannot keep on introducing these bills on a daily basis. That's not possible. Maximum 3 bills per MP per session. So in every session, one MP can give notice for only maximum 3 bills, not more than that. And lastly, this bill requires a prior notice of how many days? 30 days. Whereas a government bill requires a prior notice of how many days? Just 7 days. So that's a difference. And now let me just tell you something. When it comes to private member bills, they are rarely passed. Non-minister's bill, no. To think of it, a non-minister's bill is rarely passed because of very important criteria. The criteria is, if a non-minister gets a bill passed, it reflects very poorly on the government. Very poorly on the government. That what are you doing as a minister? Some random MP in the house is getting bills passed on your topic, your area of concern, and you are ignoring those areas of concern. So normally, even if this bill is brought, they are rarely discussed. I mean, to just tell you, in the 16th Lok Sabha, the 2014, 2019, out of almost 1,000 bills, 999 bills were introduced, 10 were discussed. 1% bills are discussed. 1%. That's how pathetic the situation is for non-ministers. Their bills rarely get time for discussion. And so far, 14 have been passed. Last in 1970. So in 1970, this bill was passed called the Supreme Court Enlargement of Criminal Appellate Jurisdiction Act 1970. And that was the last ever private member bill to be passed. Though back in 2015-16, there was a bill on transgenders' rights brought by an MP from Rajya Sabha, Tiruchi Siva. He brought the bill in the Rajya Sabha, got it passed in the Rajya Sabha, went to Lok Sabha. The government, told Tiruchi Siva, sir, drop this bill, we'll bring a better bill. And this bill was dropped. It could not be passed in the Lok Sabha. Second reason also is that normally non-ministers do not bring bills rich on logical content. They largely bring bills which are emotional kind of bills. A very interesting example is one MP brought a bill a few years back. That bill was based on this idea that, in our country, people spend too much money on marriages, right? You must have seen on the social media platforms that too much money is spent on marriages, especially if rich people can afford to. The poor, of course, cannot. Then the poor people force their parents that please spend more money or spend their own money, pre-wedding photo shoot, this photo shoot, that photo shoot, destination wedding, all these things happen just to impress random strangers on social media. So this MP gave notice for a bill. The bill's content was that there should be an upper limit to the money you can spend in a marriage ceremony, and that will be 5 lakh rupees. That's it. 5 lakh rupees. That is a limit to which you can spend money in a marriage ceremony. Now, this was introduced. See, the point here was that this idea is very nice. Very nice. But how do you implement it? How do you implement it? Let's be logical now. Then we'll have to hire new officers, all India marriage services officers. We'll have to send them to various marriage functions, right? Eat the food, test the food. Then maybe people would want to be not IAS, but Indian marriage service officers, IMS officer, first priority. So the bill did not have a logical conclusion to it. These ideas look nice on paper. No limitation on spending money, but enforcing it is a challenge. So all the people said, amazing, very good, great bill. Now sit down. We can't pass this bill. That's how it is. So this is an example of a private member bill. So private member bills are normally brought on topics which largely may not be very logical. Now, just recently, a bill was given notice for UCC. People were very surprised. Oh, bill on UCC. So the particular MP gave a notice for the bill, and what was the content of the bill? The content of bill was the government will form a committee to form UCC. What is this bill? I mean, if you have brought a UCC bill, you form your own UCC and give it to us. No. So these private members, non-ministers, see, as a minister, you have lot of help of all the bureaucracy, secretaries, additional, joint, deputy, under secretaries, people like you to help them out. A normal MP does not have the expertise opinion of all these IS officers. So their bills may lack the vision, the clarity, etc. That is there. That is also reason why these bills are rarely passed. Okay, that's based on introduction. Okay, now just as an example, see, this is an example of a private member bill where the name of the MP is mentioned. This is an example of a government bill. This is how you categorize bills into two categories. based on who introduces the bill, who gives the notice for the bill. Clear? Solve this question. Asked in 2017. "45 seconds should be sufficient." Okay, a lot of you got this correct. A private member bill is a bill presented by a member of parliament who is not elected but only nominated. No. This is not a criteria. A member who is not a minister. That's the criteria. Whether elected or nominated is of no concern to us. Recently, a private member's bill has been passed in the Parliament of India for the first time is wrong. Recently also is wrong only. But first time is definitely wrong. So it was passed in 1970 and not the first time. But it has been passed 14 times so far. Both are wrong. D, neither one nor two. Now, second is based on content. So bills can be ordinary, financial, or constitutional amendment bills. First up, we'll discuss ordinary bills and then we'll come to financial bills. We have already discussed constitutional amendment bills. Please tell me the article. 368. Done already. Now we'll see how such ordinary bills which do not deal with any special matter, how these bills are passed. Passage of bills in the parliament. First up, ordinary bills. Ordinary bills can be introduced in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, right, by any MP, whether you are a minister or a private member. One more thing, of course, any MP, or whether you are elected or nominated, any MP can give notice for this bill. Now, when you give notice for such bills, you have to also understand a very important element. You know, these bills that you bring in the house, which will become laws in future. Remember, first class, bill, act, law. So these bills are going to become laws in the country. What is the purpose of the bill? Why are you bringing such a bill? So every bill also contains what? The logic behind the bill. We call it the statement of objectives and reasons. Statement of objectives and reasons as to why we need this bill. Now, every bill has three stages. Those stages are called first reading, second reading, third reading. Or you can simply call it, what is first reading? First reading means introduction. The bill is introduced in the house. Second reading is discussion. The discussion takes place on the bills in the house. And third reading is voting. So there are three stages. Please repeat after me. Introduction, discussion, and voting. Now, the bill is introduced by the member of the house. So, member seeks permission of the house. We call it leave of the house. He does not leave the house. He seeks leave, permission of the house. And he will only read the title and objectives of the bill, right? Discussions won't take place. Why? Because once I bring a bill, I have to give a copy to all the MPs also. All the MPs would want to read the bill. They want to see what is there in the bill, right? So some time is required for them to understand it. So I'll give some time. So today I'll give notice for the bill. After at least 7 days, if I'm a minister, or 30 days, if I'm a non-minister, I get the chance to read my bill in the house. And this takes place from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Do you remember this? Sitting in the house, the topic, sitting and session after 2 to 6 p.m. Yes or no? Okay. So then the introduction is given, and that is it. The task is over. First stage or first reading is over. Now the copy of bill is sent to be published in the Gazette. What is Gazette? First class official magazine of government is called Gazette. Then second stage, now discussion takes place after a few days, maybe, or the same day also, after 3 hours, next day, after 10 days, whatever. The house decides when. Then discussion takes place on the bill. Every section of the bill, clause by clause, detailed discussion takes place. But please understand, our MPs are very good at debating on caste and religion matters. They are amazing at this. Amazing. So is our media, both left wing and right wing media. They are amazing at discussing all these caste things and all. Religion, majority is suffering, minority is suffering, all this nonsense they'll do always. But governance is very technical in nature. Our innocent MPs may not have the technical knowledge to understand a lot of bills. So the bill is sent to some committee. They are called parliamentary committees. So what will happen is, if I am the speaker and this is Lok Sabha, I will choose, okay, you 5 people, come here. You 5 people take this bill. You are experts in the area of agriculture. You please find out, read the bill, prepare a report, give it to me. Pros and cons of the bill. What is good, what is bad, what can we improve, etc. Give me a report. I will table the report in the parliament, and then on the report, discussions can take place on the bill. We'll spoon feed the MPs that, please MPs, look at this. This is good, this is bad. Now fight. So a bill may be sent to a committee of the House or a joint committee of the Parliament. What is joint committee of the Parliament? Joint committee would mean MPs from both houses. So we actually have a joint committee. Example can be DRSCs. Not important full form right now, but let me tell you the full form of it for those who are very eager. Please don't ask me to write the full form, it wastes time. Departmentally related standing committees. We'll discuss them in detail in future. I'll repeat once again. Departmentally related standing committees. So just an example of certain committees which comprise of MPs of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, experts in some field. The bill can be sent to that committee. The committee can prepare reports, and the bill is also published in the Gazette. So public opinion is also welcomed. So you can read the bill and you can also give your public opinion, on the bill. If you want to give your opinion on the bill, you please write your opinion in a letter and send it to the Secretary General of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, the Secretariat of Lok Sabha, where all the administrative work takes place. They will get the copy Okay, and will throw it in the dustbin because they don't have time for this nonsense. I mean, they won't. They may read also. Who knows? But please, a country with such huge population, thousands and thousands of people can keep on sending letters. The person will die reading a letter only. So basically, you can send your opinion also. Based on that opinion, the what inputs can be discussed. So, okay, that's it. So these are just ways in which we'll discuss joint committee, DRSCs, all these things later on in detail. So don't panic. Don't worry, don't panic at all. Just ways in which we have to simplify the bill for our innocent MPs to understand. Just like we have to simplify the DNA, CNA, all the newspaper for you to understand. So we have DNA, CNA, and all these things. Why? Because innocent people don't like to read the newspaper but still want to be IAS officers, right? So aspirations very high, effort zero. So for that, same thing. Our MPs also. We laugh at the MPs, but we do the same thing in life. Oh, slightly too harsh. My bad. Okay. So this is a second reading that is called discussion. Now, after the discussion is over, MPs get bored, like you get bored, that sir, feeling sleepy. We want a break. MPs also. They say enough, getting bored. What is this technical matter? Bring caste debate. Come on. So some MP will get up and say, sir, please, enough of discussion. Let's vote on the bill. Let's end the matter. Bring some other interesting topic. So third reading is voting. Bill is put to vote, and we know very well ordinary bills, money bills, financial bills, all these bills are brought through a what kind of majority? Or passed through a simple majority. Just wait, just wait. To pass ordinary money financial bills, what is required? Simple majority, right? So in the parliament, in that house, whichever house brought the bill, what will you do? Some MP says, sir, please let's put the matter to vote. Voting is done, and if the house loves it, the bill is passed, right? All three stages done, the bill is passed by that house. But when the bill is passed by one house, it goes to the other house. Yes or no? Other house. So in the other house, this other house can be Rajya Sabha if the first house is Lok Sabha. The other house can be Lok Sabha if the first house is Rajya Sabha. Same three stages. Meaning what? First reading, second reading, third reading. Meaning what? Introduction, discussion, and voting. Now, introduction is okay, discussion is okay. How about voting? Options before the second house with respect to voting. Before second house during voting. Now, what all things can the second house do? First thing first, second house can simply say, oh wow, what amazing bill have you brought? The first house. Passed. If it is passed, it is sent to our president who can do his own drama of veto powers if they want to. Or the second house can pass with modifications. Pass with modification, meaning, let us say there's a bill called CAA, Citizenship Amendment Bill, not AA, but we can say an example CAB, Citizenship Amendment Bill. Second house says, why don't you add the name of country China also? Come on, add it. We'll protect the minorities from China also, and then passes it. Now, when you make any change, the first house has to be shown that, see, the second house made this change. Do you agree, first house? If the first house says, yes, 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 Ari, we forgot this, very good change, then the bill is sent to president. If first house agrees, then the bill is sent to president. No problem. The real problem starts if the first house says, no, we don't want China. Have you added China? No. How dare you add China? We don't want China. Second house says, no, no, add China also. Conflict. So, the problem is this. If first house disagrees, then what happens? Or one very interesting provision can be that second house takes no action only. It does nothing. Takes no action for 6 months. Now, in both these cases, there is some kind of problem. One house wants to pass the bill, other house does not want to pass the bill, takes no action. Or one house wants to pass the bill with some provisions, the other house wants to pass the bill but with different provisions. Conflict. Conflict. The result is a deadlock. So, deadlock. How do we resolve this deadlock? What do we do? So, to resolve it, President may call for what we know as a joint sitting. To resolve the deadlock, the president can call for a joint sitting of both the houses. Are we clear on this? This is what is the concept of joint sitting. Okay? Clear so far, everybody? Any doubt? I will explain the entire process again. Don't worry. Don't worry. Once the bill has been passed by the first house, whatever the first house, let's assume it is Lok Sabha. Let's assume that. Please don't ask me after 5 minutes, sir, what if the first house is Rajya Sabha? The process is exactly the same. Let's assume that the bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha. It is read in the Lok Sabha, discussed in the Lok Sabha, passed by the Lok Sabha, comes to Rajya Sabha. It is introduced in the Rajya Sabha. It is discussed in the Rajya Sabha, right? It is now put to vote in the Rajya Sabha. In voting, it can be passed by the Rajya Sabha. Both houses have passed it, goes to president. Or Rajya Sabha passes it with some modifications. The bill is sent to Lok Sabha again. That, sir, guys, Rajya Sabha has made a change. Do you agree? Yes or no? Ayes, yes, approved. No problem. Or the bill, when the changes are made and shown to Lok Sabha, let's see, Rajya Sabha has made these changes. Lok Sabha says, how dare they make a change? We don't like this change. No, 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 no. No, no. Now conflict. Rajya Sabha says, we want this change. Lok Sabha says, no, we don't want this change. Confusion. Or the bill was sent to Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is not putting the matter to vote only. They have discussed it and the bill is pending. Lok Sabha is saying, guys, please vote. Rajya Sabha says, wait, don't disturb. We are busy. So, no action is taken. After 6 months, the president, if he feels, on the advice of Council of Ministers, if he feels, he may call for a joint sitting. That is why joint sitting is not mandatory, it's optional. It can be called, right? That's why it has been limited only so far, just 3 times. So it can be, we can call for a joint sitting, which is what is Article 108, to resolve a conflict. This concept of joint sitting has been borrowed from Australia. Though interestingly, in Australia, they have used it only once. We have used it 3 times. How many times? 3 times. Joint sitting, Article 108. Who calls for a joint sitting? The president calls for a joint sitting. So this would mean both the houses sit together like this. In the Lok Sabha, the houses sit together. Clear? The entire house sits together. Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, all the MPs are sitting together. In the joint sitting, the presiding officer is the speaker. Speaker. It is presided over by the speaker. Clear? And rules of procedure of Lok Sabha are followed. Lok Sabha rules are followed. Which rules are followed? Lok Sabha rules. Why? Because the sitting takes place in the Lok Sabha, my house, my rules. The speaker presides over these things. That is why Lok Sabha rules are followed. Where is the chairman of Rajya Sabha sitting? Tell me. Where is the chairman of Rajya Sabha sitting? In his house, watching it on TV. Because the chairman is not a member of any house, he is sitting in the house watching on TV all this nonsense going on. Are you clear? VP does not take part in such things. Now the matter is put to vote. Voting takes place, and if the bill is passed here, voting is by simple majority only. If the voting takes place and the bill is passed, it is deemed to be passed. So far, we have had joint sitting in 3 cases: Dowry Prohibition Bill 1961, POTA 2002, and Banking Service Commission Repeal Bill 1978. In all these 3 situations, you'll be surprised, bill was passed. Why was it passed? Because Lok Sabha wanted to get the bill passed. Raj Sabha did not want to get the bill passed. And we know very well, look at the Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha has 543 people. Raj Sabha has 245 people. Numerical advantage to the Lok Sabha. That is why bills get passed. Clear on this? That's it. Nothing else required to be known. Sufficient information. See, all these bills that were passed in joint sitting, in these cases, Lok Sabha was more interested in getting the bills passed. Raj Sabha had no interest. For example, POTA. What is POTA? Prevention of Terrorism Act 2002. It has now been repealed. This bill has been repealed now. Gone. It was a dangerous, draconian kind of bill where you could be arrested uh, without telling you reasons and all. Basically, POTA was passed in the aftermath of the 2001 parliamentary attack. So, people who do not know, our parliament was attacked by terrorists in 2001. The mastermind of which was Afzal Group, right? Who's hanging people in some college were very angry. How are you doing all this nonsense? Right? Judicial killing is happening in the country. Though he was a mastermind, there was proper proof against him. But let's not get into a debate to upset our left-wing liberals. Left-wing liberals are dangerous people. They are liberals only in the name, right? So POTA. In fact, normally what happens is if you give any witness to the police, if you give any testimony to the police, right? That testimony is not acceptable in court because the police can force you. and get your testimony, right? So when you give any statement to police, any confession to police, it is not acceptable in court. The police, you know how the police gets confessions. They ask you nicely, very nicely, right? So of course, but when it comes to POTA, under POTA, there was whatever confession you gave to police was all acceptable in court. Anyway, don't think that POTA has been repealed. POTA law has been repealed, but the important provisions of POTA are now in a law called UPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Government knows all these techniques. They would repeal some difficult draconian law, they'll take the provisions, add in some different law, right? Every government loves power. Congress or BJP or any new government which comes to power. Anyway, so this is all about the joint sitting. That's it. So far, 3 times only. Article 108, joint sitting in the parliament. Done. Now coming to some other kind of bills, which are financial bills. Financial bills are of 3 kinds. So let me just show it like this only. Financial bills. One type of financial bill can be called as money bill. The other type of financial bills are financial bills type 1. And the third category of financial bills are financial bills type 2. Money bill, financial bill type 1, type 2. All these 3 are called financial bills only. Okay. Now let's see what is a money bill first. One more thing. Just answer in yes or no. Let's see. When it comes to these financial money bills, please answer in yes or no. All financial bills are money bills. Okay. So the answer is no. All financial bills are not money bills. All money bills are financial bills, because the Venn diagram would look somewhat like this. If this is a financial bill, then money bill is a type of financial bill. Somewhat like this. Okay. So all money bills are financial bills, but not all financial bills are money bills. I think these statements we have been hearing from our childhood days only. So that's it. Now moving on to understanding the money bills. First up, the procedure. Let's look at the procedure first. Procedure for money bill is mentioned under Article 109. This is where the procedure is mentioned. So, what is the procedure? Firstly, a money bill can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha. Clear? Ordinary bill, any house. Money bill, Lok Sabha only. Second, prior recommendation of president is required. So when you bring a money bill, you have to take the prior recommendation of the president. In case of ordinary bills, nothing is required. Basically, the idea of prior recommendation is what? The idea is that only ministers can bring such a bill, because the president will bring a will give the permission for any bill when the ministers ask the president, sir, ma'am, give permission. A regular normal MP, a non-minister, cannot force the president, because the president is only bound by the advice of council of ministers. Yes or no? That is why whenever you find this provision, prior recommendation of president, always assume that such kind of bills can only be brought in the house by the minister. A non-minister can't bring this bill because a non-minister cannot take permission from the president, right? Now, this bill is introduced only by ministers. This is just a convention, okay? This is not mentioned in the constitution. It is just a convention, a practice, a custom that money bills can be introduced only by ministers. It's just a practice. Now, when the bill is introduced in the Lok Sabha and passed in the Lok Sabha, the bill goes to which house? Rajya Sabha. When the bill is sent to Rajya Sabha, the speaker endorses the bill, meaning marks it. This bill is money bill. Speaker endorses the bill as money bill. Now let me just clarify. Speaker's decision is now subject to judicial review. In the constitution, it is mentioned as final. But Supreme Court says nothing is final until we say so. So, this is subject to judicial review. And the case was the Raja Rampal case of 2007. In this case, Supreme Court said that Speaker's decision on money bills, we can check it. Now, why would the Speaker wrongfully categorize a bill as money bill? Right? Makes no sense. What is he going to achieve out of it? Wrongfully categorizing a bill as money bill. Because when the Speaker categorizes a bill as money bill, the beauty is that Raj Sabha has no power on the bill. Raj Sabha has limited powers. It can only suggest changes. Like in the case of ordinary bills, look at this. Raj Sabha will pass with changes. Conflict can happen. Joint sitting can take place. All this nonsense is not possible in money bill. In money bill, Raj Sabha can keep the bill pending for how many days? 14 days. That's it. 14 days. After 14 days, if the Raj Sabha is still not passing the bill, right? Think of it. Somebody comes inside Raj Sabha, snatches the bill and runs away. Bill is passed. Sorry, time up. So Raj Sabha has practically no power over money bills. Clear? It can only cause a delay of how many days? Delay of just 14 days. And then the bill is sent to the president, and we know very well the president has no suspensive veto power. No suspensive veto. See, money bills are related to monetary matters, and we want the control of money in the hands of directly elected people only. That is the MPs of Lok Sabha who are chosen by us, voted by us, elected by us. That is why in most of the countries you will find that the directly elected house controls the monetary matters. So nothing wrong. Don't feel angry. How dare they take the power away from Rajya Sabha and all. It's okay. Now I hope you understand. See, the government always has majority in the Lok Sabha. Why? Because in the Lok Sabha, you have formed the government. You control the Lok Sabha. But the government may not have majority in the Rajya Sabha. So if as a speaker, I want to serve my government, my ruling party, you made me speaker. Thank you so much. With love, I'll support you. So the government says, Speaker, please put this bill as money bill. Very controversial. In Rajya Sabha, people will not pass this bill. We know. Speaker says, okay, money bill. Done. No questions being raised. But Supreme Court says, sorry, wait. If your decision is wrong, illegal, unconstitutional, we can question it. Judicial review. Judiciary can review or check any executive or legislative action in the country on the grounds of it being unconstitutional. Clear? This is a procedure for the passage of money bills. But the question is, what is money bill? So money bill would mean this. The definition of money bill mentioned in the Constitution as per Article 110. So you don't have to mug up this definition. It is extremely unlikely that a question will be asked, define money bill, 15 marks. Those days are no longer there in UPSC, so may not be a question, but you should know basic idea of what a money bill is. A money bill contains only these provisions. If a bill or a proposal contains anything extra apart from Article 110, you can call it a financial bill, but it's not a money bill. Money bill means only this and nothing else. The imposition, abolition, remission, alteration, regulation of any kind of tax proposals, money bill. Regulating of borrowing of money or giving guarantee by Government of India, money bill. Custody of CFI or contingency fund, payment of monies into or withdrawal of monies out of. Monies. What is this word monies? Spelling mistake, right? Or it is not spelling mistake actually. Monies means different forms of money in the form of cash, forex reserve, gold, etc. That's called monies. Okay. So, money bill, number one, any kind of tax. Number two, any borrowing or giving of government guarantee. Number three, custody of CFI, etc. Number four, appropriation. What is meant by appropriation? Tell me this word appropriation. We have seen this word earlier also. Appropriation means withdraw. Withdrawal of monies out of CFI. If you are taking out money from CFI, remember budget, taking out money from CFI to waste on various schemes, sorry, to spend on various schemes. That is what is called what? Money bill. Okay, so that is there. Then declaring any expenditure to be expenditure charged on the CFI. Expenditure charged on CFI. What is charge expenditure? Remember, no voting, only discussion. Charge expenditure. So that is there. And lastly, receiving money on account of CFI or public account of India or custody of money from these accounts. Simple. So just understand the very basic thing here. Any taxation proposals, government guarantee or borrowing of money, custody of CFI contingency fund, taking money out of CFI, charge expenditure, these are called money bills. Clear? Okay. So that's it. We are done with the money bill, including what is a procedure and what is a definition of money bill. Now coming to some other kind of bills which are financial bills, not money bills, but financial bills. First up is financial bill type 1. What would make a financial bill a money bill? A financial bill is a money bill if it contains only those provisions mentioned under Article 110. Just this provision, nothing else. The moment any proposal has multiple things which are not under Article 110, that becomes a financial bill. I'll give it an example. Back in the year 2000, a bill was brought that was called Central Road Fund Bill. What was the purpose of this bill? The purpose of this bill was very simple. The purpose of this bill was that in our country, a lot of accidents take place because of poor condition of roads. And you see, sometimes you'll see photographs. Oh, this is not USA, this is India. Some small patch they will show of a road and say, oh, this is not USA, this is India. And we forget the situation in other parts of the country. But anyway, so the point is that the government realizes that we have to improve the condition of roads to even prevent accidents. So what happened? was that government said, let's do one thing. If you want to improve the national highways and all, take money from people only. So impose tax on people. So cess was imposed. Provision number 1, cess on petrol or diesel. What is cess? Tax on tax, stored separately in the CFI to be used for a particular purpose. This cess was imposed and the cess was kept in CFI, putting of money into CFI, and it was called Central Road Fund. Done? Central Road Fund has been created where all the money is being kept by taxing people. So far, this is actually a money bill. So far, this fits the definition of what you would call a money bill. But then, this money was to be used to improve the condition of national highways, condition of rural roads, etc. Now, when you are building the roads, that part is not a money bill. That's an ordinary bill, infrastructure. So think of this now. This part of the bill is a money bill. This part of the bill is an ordinary bill, right? Ordinary bill. So a financial bill type 1 would mean money bill merged with some ordinary bill. It contains not only any or all the matters mentioned in Article 110, but also other matters of general legislation. Are you clear? So this is with respect to the financial bill type 1. Clear? Everyone now that financial bill type 1 is a combination of two bills, money bill, ordinary bill. Two bills combined together to form a financial bill type 1. Now you will find the mention of this under Article 117 clause 1. Okay. Now what is the procedure? So some special things are that this bill can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha and on the recommendation of the president only. But that's it. Beyond that, beyond this provision, Raj Sabha has equal powers in all other aspects with respect to passage of the bill, meaning joint sitting is possible. Clear? Only in case of money bill, only in case of money bill can a joint sitting not be done. Here it can be done. So the differentiating factor here is from ordinary bills is that such bills can be introduced in the Lok Sabha on the prior recommendation of the president. Beyond that, no other special feature. This is financial bill type 1. And then we have financial bill type 2. What is this kind of financial bill? These are mentioned under Article 117 clause 3. These bills have no special feature actually, nothing special. These are just ordinary bills. But sometimes, when you pass an ordinary bill, maybe not at that point of time, but in future, it would require some kind of expenditure from CFI. Not right now, in future. For example, you place an order on Amazon, right? Cash on delivery. Right now, you have spent nothing, zero, zilch, no money was spent. But when the product comes, then you have to spend the money. Same thing. Example. There is a law called if you want to increase the number of judges in Supreme Court. So as of now, we have 34 judges in Supreme Court. What if we want to increase number of judges to 50? So what do we do? So we can simply amend this bill called Supreme Court Number of Judges Act of 1956. Whenever you want to increase the number of judges of the Supreme Court, simply modify this bill. That's it. So let's take an example from 34 to 50. We have now passed a proposal to increase the bill number of judges from 34 to 50. Okay. And then when we pass this bill, nothing happens. It's an ordinary bill. But you know very well, in future, when you are hiring more judges, appointing more judges, recruiting more judges, salary has to be paid, which comes from CFI only, which is charge expenditure actually. So that is what? These are ordinary bills that contain provisions involving expenditure from the CFI. Not right now, but in future you have to. Whenever you hire. So this is type 2 financial bill. This bill has no special feature. It can be introduced in either house. Prior recommendation is not required. Passage in house, equal parts. This bill has no special features. One small point. For such bills, the only condition is that permission of the president is required. Required for second reading in the house. Some of you will say, what the hell is the second reading? What is happening? What is second reading? Suddenly, where has this word come from? Second reading. What is second reading? Second reading means discussion. So, financial bill type 2, if you want to discuss the bill in the house, it would require what? It would require a permission from the president. Otherwise, no other special feature. This can be introduced in either house, right? Prior recommendation not required. Everything. Can private member issue financial bill type 2? Yes, of course. Any house, any member, right? What is first reading? Oh, Chitturi. Innocent questions. Amazing. So while some of you were enjoying the late morning sleep, we discussed something called passage of bills. The first reading was introduction of the bills. Okay. Are you clear on this? So passage of bills, financial bill type 2. That's it. Done. So we are done with the 3 types of bills. I hope you would understand this now. Just understand these intricate points here. It is very important. Joint sitting, introduction of bills, who passes it, what's the power of Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, all these things. Clear? Permission is required for the reading in both the houses. Anshu, what is Consolidated Fund of India? You please go and revise the previous point previously taught classes under chapter President. All this question, which came this year only. Clear on this, everyone? Solve this answer question. Came this year only. Done. Okay, a lot of you got this correct, but you know what? I'll tell you the biggest problem with this question. But anyway, we'll first discuss the answer. When the Lok Sabha transmits finance bill to Rajya Sabha, it can amend or reject the bill. Finance bill. When it is transmitted to Rajya Sabha, it can amend or reject the finance bill. Rajya Sabha has no such powers over money bills only. Financial bills can be amended, can be rejected. One is correct. Yes or no? When the Lok Sabha transmits money bill to Rajya Sabha, it cannot amend or reject. It can only make recommendation. This is also correct. Because the power in financial bills, look at this, equal power with respect to passage. Now, in the case of disagreement between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, there is no joint sitting for money bill. Absolutely correct. No joint sitting for money bill. But a joint sitting becomes necessary for a finance bill. What is this necessary thing? What nonsense? A president may call for a joint sitting. It's not mandatory and all. It's not mentioned if there's a conflict, joint sitting must be called. No. May call for it. Not mandatory. So 3 is wrong. Only 2 are correct. Are we clear on this? Now, 2 points. Some of our enthusiastic people will say, sir, but there are some finance bills which are money bills. Those finance bills cannot be amended? Of course not. That's why the question says when the Lok Sabha transmits finance bill, it can amend those finance bills which are not money bills. So 1 is correct. So for those enthusiastic people, put them aside. Now comes a more logical thing here. So you don't know right now, but in future, tomorrow you will understand that finance bill is different from a financial bill. We have been studying about financial bills. Did you observe this? Financial bill. Yes or no? Actually, finance bill is a part of budget. It's not a financial bill. Finance bill is what is a money bill. Clear? Finance bill is a money bill. So if you go by the literal word there, then first statement is also wrong. But the point is, they are trying to draw a comparison between a finance bill and a money bill. So we have to assume that this is actually a financial bill. This is UPSC for you. Such loose terms. Sometimes knowing perfect things also becomes problem. So don't overthink here. The best thing is to apply some logic that because the comparison is between finance bill and money bill, So a finance bill refers to financial bill only. And hence, the right answer is B, only 2. Are we clear on this? And tomorrow we'll come to know what is a finance bill. Finance bill is basically in the budget. The tax proposals are called finance bill. We'll discuss it tomorrow. Don't worry. That's it. So these kind of questions can be asked in the examination, which have been asked. Kishan, again, somebody, see, I said this earlier only. Somebody has said, sir, money bill is also a subset of finance bill. Of course, sir, of course. But look at this. When the Lok Sabha transmits finance bill to the Rajya Sabha, it can amend. It can amend those bills which are not money bills, but other kind of financial bills. Yes or no? So one is correct. Anyway, and the last topic for today, very simple, very easy. Position with respect to dissolution of the Lok Sabha. What is the meaning of dissolution firstly? What is dissolution? Dissolution means term of Lok Sabha ends, which means what? We'll go for fresh elections. That is called dissolution of the Lok Sabha. This happens every 5 years, of course. And one very important point is when the Lok Sabha gets dissolved, new Lok Sabha comes to power, right? New MPs are elected. The point is, if these new MPs are elected, the bill which was pending in Lok Sabha, what happens to those bills? So, when the bills are passed by the Lok Sabha and are sent to Rajya Sabha and are pending there, or if a bill was introduced in Lok Sabha, right? What happens to that bill? Just one simple point. If any such bill is passed by the Lok Sabha, is pending in Rajya Sabha, or was introduced in Lok Sabha, if the Lok Sabha gets dissolved, all such bills end. They are thrown away in the dustbin. When new Lok Sabha comes, they have to start from scratch. Okay. So we say that any bill pending in the Lok Sabha lapses. Clear? End. End of bill. It's dead. It's thrown away. Clear on this? And how to understand this? Simple. Just understand one point. Any bill that Lok Sabha has seen and only Lok Sabha has seen with its dirty eyes, that bill is dead, it lapses. If the bill is seen only by Rajya Sabha, not by Lok Sabha, no problem. If a bill is introduced in Rajya Sabha and is pending there only, no problem. But if a bill is introduced in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, passed by both the houses, has gone to President, awaiting his signature, then there is no problem. The bill will not lapse. All pending bills lapse if only Lok Sabha has seen it. That's a problem with. Somebody mentioned seen with dirty eyes means, or it was just a. When you have to explain the jokes, that's the worst thing possible. Anyway, forget the dirty eyes part. Ignore that. If Lok Sabha has seen the bill lapses. Simple. That's it. Nothing else. Are we clear, everyone? If the Lok Sabha has seen the bill lapses. In other cases, the bill will not lapse. Now, based on this, let us solve this question. Last question, last topic for the day. 45 seconds for you. Mark the answer. Lapse means the bill ends. It's dead. Okay. So some of you marked C as the answer. What is this word prorogation? Please tell me. What is this word prorogation? What is the meaning of prorogation? Prorogation means what? Session ends, not dissolution. Like the budget session was prorogued. The same MPs will come back in the monsoon session. The Lok Sabha is not dissolved. Dissolution is what ends the bill. A bill pending Lok Sabha lapses on its prorogation. Nothing happens in prorogation. This is wrong. A bill pending Lok Sabha lapses on its dissolution. When the Lok Sabha gets dissolved, the bill ends, lapses, is thrown away, whatever way you want to understand it. Second, a bill pending in Rajya Sabha which has not been passed by Lok Sabha will not lapse, of course. A bill pending in Rajya Sabha which has not been passed by Lok Sabha shall not lapse on dissolution of the Lok Sabha. Of course, it will not lapse on the dissolution of the Lok Sabha. So 2 is correct. Why? Because a bill which has not been seen in the by the Lok Sabha will not lapse. A bill introduced in the Rajya Sabha and is pending there only. Lok Sabha is dissolved, new MPs have come, no problem. The bill is kept in Rajya Sabha. Okay? So that is it. That's it. We are done for the day. Right? Let's show the leaderboard for today. Vibhum Bansal, 110, topper for today. Great. We have only one topper. Others can see their name here. Okay, that's it. Great. We are done with our discussion for today. In case you have any questions, concerns, experts will keep on addressing the concerns. Now, just to summarize on what is the task for tomorrow. Firstly, please write the answer for those two questions that you saw today. The question on the speaker and the question on the what? Vice President. Will you write the answer and send it to the evaluators? Please do it. Second thing, revise it 2-3 times. Third thing, chapter 22 of Lakshmikant, you can start reading chapter 22 of Lakshmikant. Now back to political theory. Chapter 5 can be read. PYQ, 2 questions need to be solved. Clear? And that's it. The task today is very simple. Of course, revision goes without saying. We have to revise. And see, guys, in case there's any problem in writing answers, it has to be seen that you have the tablet recordings available. Please look into the tablet recordings, find out the question from the year, look at the solution explanation, and then write the answer. No problem. Right now, what is important is to do what? To start practicing answers. Be comfortable. Okay. And of course, the monthly magazine that needs to be studied. That's a daily mandate. Let's not forget that also. Are they clear? Okay. Yes, in tablet. Gyan, that may not be logical because there are a lot of things already going on in both the houses. Sometimes the minister has to come and respond in Lok Sabha, in Raj Sabha separately. So we want this free movement to happen for minister also to respond to queries of the Lok Sabha, Raj Sabha, etc. That is why it may not be a good idea. From where to get monthly magazine? After the 7 days, you're asking this question. Google search for it. On Baiju's website, you have the monthly magazine. This means you have not studied for the past 7 days. So if conflict is there and joint sitting not introduced, then the bill will not lapse, Kumaran. Yes, yes, Siddhartha. Gyan, that's the whole concept of executive in our country being extremely powerful, right? And of course, forget introducing bills. The bills are passed because the government enjoy majority in the Lok Sabha. That is there, but that's the whole point of the so-called accountability mechanism. Smita, what happened when the both houses still reaches deadlock in joint sitting? That's not possible. How can they be deadlock in the joint sitting? If the equal number of votes happen, the speaker votes. Pankaj, the senior most Supreme Court judge after CGI. Yes, Gyan, that's true. Ganesh. Okay, done. Great. That's it. So experts will keep on addressing your concerns. If you have more concerns, Vivek, there is nothing special. It is just that as a matter of one day to be chosen because most bills are for government business. So to give primacy to the government's activities, one last day of the week is chosen as the day where the non-ministers can bring a bill. It could have been Monday also. Now you'd say, why only Monday? So some day was chosen to limit it because it's mostly government bills which require discussion. That is why. Okay. That's it. Let's meet tomorrow, guys. Till then, that's all for me. Jai Hind.